with roll call.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, I need to provide the legal information first.
Got it. Please proceed.
If there's no objection by the members and subject to Executive Order 78 issued by the Governor of the State of Tennessee, the Public Law Enforcement and Public Safety Committee finds that this meeting will be held electronically due to the need to protect health, safety, and well-being of the citizens. And if there are no objections, we'll proceed in that manner. Are there any objections? Hearing none, let the minutes reflect that there were no objections. In a moment, the chairman will call each member's name. When he does call your name, respond with your name and that you can hear the other members. All votes must be conducted by roll call vote. The chairman will call your name and you will express your vote. Prior to making a motion or a second, or making a motion or asking a question, please identify yourself. Mr. Chairman, please call the roll.
All right. Looks like roll is called through the app. Present, Sean Aiello, Dwight Jones, Steve Smith, and Beth Lauders, commissioners. With roll call being completed, is there a motion to approve the minutes from 3/17/21? Steve Smith motion, Dwight Jones the second. Assuming there's no discussion, move to a vote. Passes 4-0. Next matter is 54110 Sheriff's Office Field Division. Is there a motion? Dwight Jones to motion, Beth Lauders to second. And I see that we have a lot of members on who might be able to offer some explanation if it's needed. So at this time, would there be any explanation or discussion on this line item?
Mr. Chairman, Sheriff Rose, hope everybody can hear me. Good evening. How you want me to do this? Go down line by line?
I'd say so if there's any major changes. And if there's any questions, please click your button and I'll put your butt in.
I just take it line by line. A lot of these have zero increase, but I just take it line by line.
Okay.
That's all right. Of course, the first one we're starting on salaries, and of course, first one is my salary, which is very important to me. So that reflects the 6% interest that the county, with the 2% we got back going to January, and then the additional 4%. And you'll see that on all of our salaries. When you get down to our deputies line item, I do have one thing that it's a housekeeping, well, not a housekeeping, but I had one of my clerical personnel that due to health reasons and stuff, she had to resign. I'm wanting to take that clerical position and make it into a full-time deputy's position. And it's going to cost about $3,000 additional to do that. One thing I'm doing in the new budget is we've had such an increase in our digital forensics on phones and computers and iPads and stuff. And I'm having to pull one of my narcotics guys off of that to work that full time. And so I want to use this position to put somebody back in narcotics. So that's what that is. That's why you got that 0.4% over 6% there. Then we got our accountants. Any questions? We have our accountant salary. Then the salary supplement, that is all, that's where the deputies get, that stay certified, they get $800 a month, $800 a year. And that's reimbursed by the state. That's money in, money out. Down here in clerical, this is a housekeeping thing I'm wanting to do. We currently have 3 individuals that work over in the jail. And they're clerical personnel, but for years they've been classified as floor deputies. 2 of them work in our what is it? Quartermaster, and then one is our PIO. And I just want to take those 3 positions, move them from the jail and move them over to the field side. And they'll be paid under our clerical personnel, because that's what they are. And like I say, so I just want to dress that up a little bit. Longevity pay, self-explanatory. Overtime, that's an increase due to the fact that our basic salary has increased. Our total personnel with the additional is 7.3% increase. Any questions so far? All right. Next thing is communications, 0% increase. You go on down contracts with private agencies. That there's an increase there. Of course, we pay all of our phone bills out of that. And since we've instituted the body cameras, each body camera requires a phone card in it. And so we're still building on that. One other thing that has it's not been a problem, but you know, since COVID has started, we've been taking, our patrol guys have been taking numerous calls for service to do reports on cell phones. Well, they've been using their own cell phones, and I want to be able to get cell phones for these guys so they don't have to use their own phones for that. And that's 37 lines at $26,000. And then, of course, that's the new money. Plus, like I say, we're still doing the body cameras. And that, you know, we've got all patrol, all court services on body cameras. We've got all our high school SROs and our middle school SROs on the body cameras. We're still in the process of getting all of our elementary school SROs on the body cameras. And then our next step will be getting all the deputies working in the jail on body cameras. Any questions on that? And then, like I say, that you have you also, we have increase on some of the softwares that go with that. Employee testing and evaluation, that stays the same. The operating lease payment stays the same. Maintenance and repair on the buildings, which is our range, our jail, and the Beasley building, the historic courthouse. There's no increase there. Maintenance repair on our vehicles, no increase there. Postal charges, no increase. Transportation of prisoners, there's no increase there, but I will tell y'all this. You know, we play silly games with the state, and we can submit a bill to the state for, let's say, $2,000 to transport one of their inmates to and from court. They may reimburse us and they may not. And it's just, I hate to be graphic, but it's just a crapshoot anytime we submit a bill to them. Right now, we're holding our own. I mean, you know, we had one last year. We had to go to Texas to get a guy and for a state case and had to take him back. And we've submitted that. And that's probably about $5,000 to get him transported. And we don't know whether the state's going to pay us or not. So it'll be one of those things we just have to wait and see. But there is no increase in that line item. See if I'm keeping up here. Postal charge, I'd skip that one. There was no increase there. I said we've got our transportation of inmates. You may see it here, other contracted services. That was a one-time expense that we had, and it's no longer on the books. Our data processing supplies, there's a $16,000 increase there because due to annual increases on our software programs, which we've got, like our record management system and jail management system, there are increases on us. And it goes in their TBI programming for our automated fingerprint system, and then some other softwares that we have there. And there's an additional $16,928 increase on that. Any questions?
Is there any reason, I mean, what's the big reason the state's not reimbursing us for doing their work?
I wish I had an answer. It just depends. We submit it and it goes through the bureaucracy at the state, and I don't know who makes the determination up there, and I don't have an answer for you on that. I apologize, but I just don't know.
One of the items that I have seen reduced to misdemeanors. And the state will say, we're not gonna pay on the misdemeanor.
Did you hear that? It may be a
Little
felony
bit.
case, and then it gets up to court and they reduce it to a misdemeanor. The state says, since it's reduced from a felony to misdemeanor, you're on your own, we're not paying it. That's
Okay,
one of the
well,
reasons.
well, I'm gonna try to talk to some people too then and see if everybody else across the state's having that issue too. We've got a meeting coming up, so.
Okay, I got a sheriff's association meeting coming up, and I will reach out to
Right.
some of the sheriffs and see if they're encountering the same problems.
Okay,
You
thank you,
also-
sir.
On that second, on page 4 up there at the top, you'll see some funding there for some softwares that we hope that we're going to try to move some money around. These will be maintenance on these softwares to try to get them done. Gasoline, we're not doing any increase, but there again, that's a big mystery out there. We don't know how it's going to be going here in another couple of months. Hopefully, we won't be affected too bad, because we don't have to pay all the taxes being state government, county government, but only the Lord knows what will happen on that. When you see law enforcement supplies, that is for my criminal investigations unit, and a little bit of increase there. We have a system that we share with Brentwood, and it helps us to do forensics. At first, it was just on the Android phones, and now they've come out with where we can do Android and Apple products. Of course, that increased the price for that, but that's there for that, plus all the tip 411 and stuff for it. So there's a little bit of increase there of a few more extra dollars on that. Office supplies stays the same. Periodical stays the same. Tires and tubes stays the same. Uniforms stays the same, which was all good. And like I say, everything on page 5, there are no increases anywhere on page 5. Except for when you get down to the bottom, our total operations is 3.7% increase. And then when you add the salaries in there, 6.7% increase. And that's on the field division side. Any questions? Ready for me to move on? I'm sorry.
Sorry, seeing no other questions, let's go ahead and proceed to a vote on this one. All right, vote passes 6-0. Next item is 54130, Sheriff's Office Traffic Control. Dwight Jones to motion, Beth Walters to second. Sheriff, if you could provide some explanation as well on this one.
On that, other than the pay increase, there's no increases on that. That's what we do our crossing guards. I just wanted to give you all a little update on that. We have total positions of 37 for the budget, and I've only got 19 working. And of those 19, I've got 15 of them working 2 different positions. So we still have a lot of school zones that we can't cover, and I'm having to pull guys off the road on our biggest school zones like Independence and stuff like that. But other than the salary increase, there's no increases in that category.
Thank you, Sheriff. Any questions or other discussions, commissioners? Seeing none, let's proceed to a vote. Vote passes 6-0. Next item, 54210, Sheriff's Office Jail. Dwight Jones to motion. And Beth Walters to second. Sheriff?
Okay, here again, the salaries, you're going to see a little bit of a decrease I talked to you earlier about moving those 3 positions that were in the jail, moving them over to clerical on our side, so you'll see a little bit of a decrease there in the salaries. Of course, there's a little bit of an increase in the longevity. Overtime will go up due to the increase in the base pay, and total personal service on salary is 3.3% increase. You get down here to advertising, that's where we pay to advertise to get people in here. There's no increase there. You may see audit services, and that was a one-time deal. That's where we do our pre-audit once every 3 years, every 4 years. We did it last year. We won't need to do it for, I can't remember if it's 3 or 4 years, but we won't need to do it for a couple more years.
It's every 4 years.
I'm sorry?
It's every 4 years.
Every 4 years for that, so we won't do that again for a couple more years. Then you get down to communications, no increase there. Evaluation and testing, we've increased that. You know, we start everybody in the jail, and you know it seems like every time I hire one, I lose 2. So we have to do this the psychological testing, and that's what most of that is pertaining to. So we've asked for additional $4,000 in there. Laundry services, we've had an increase there. Most of that is due to new monies for germicides and stuff. We're trying to keep the COVID out of the jail. We're doing a lot more cleaning and stuff, so we've had to increase our supplies on that. Next is the operating lease payments, no increase. Maintenance repair on the building, no increase there. If you'll see down here, maintenance and service of equipment, we're asking for $88,750. That's when we get into capital outlay, we are asking for 2 body scanners. And if we get those body scanners, and what those will be used for will be, we have people coming in, if they're secreting contraband in a body cavity, this will allow us to see it, and then we can take measures to keep that from getting into the jail. We've seen to have a major increase of people coming in here. They're fixing to do weekends or something, and they'll bring all kinds of dope in their body in here. And, you know, we've had a couple of ODs from it, so we've got to try to keep that out of that. So we've got that in capital outlay. So if we get capital outlay, we'll need that $8,700 in there for maintenance on that equipment. The jail vehicles, of course, we're running old vehicles, and I've reduced the budget on vehicles and trying to, you know, keep the monies down and everything, but we're having a little bit of increased cost in that money. We're with 3 or 4 years ago when we changed out our light system to the LEDs, it has reduced our electric bill quite substantially, and that's where we're going to pull some of that money from electricity to put over in here into the repair and maintenance of vehicles. Our medical and dental is no increase there. And then if you look on that next page, page 3 or 4, you go down there. When you get down to electricity, it's a minus 3.4%. Like I mentioned a minute ago with the LEDs, we've been able to reduce there. But other than that, that whole page is a 0% increase. And then you get over to page 4 of 4. There's no increases on any of the line items there. And as you can see, our total overall budget in the jail is a 1.9% increase.
Realized I was on mute. Seeing no other questions for the sheriff, let's go ahead and move to a vote. Vote passes 6-0. Next for the sheriff is 54220, Sheriff's Office Workhouse.
That's our litter crew. And other than
Mike Jones the motion, Beth Walters the second, and there you go, Sheriff.
other than the increase in the salaries, everything else remains the same. There is a decrease in longevity. Eddie Stevens, who was heading that up, had been with us 30 some odd years. He retired, so that knocked that longevity way down. Other than that, there's no increase in that other than salaries.
All right, any questions for the sheriff on this? Seeing none, let's move to a vote. Vote passes 6-0. Next item, 54240, juvenile services. Dwight Jones to motion. Jennifer Mason to second. Any explanation, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. For our budget on page 1, there aren't any increases other than what the county has done with the increase in salaries. On page 2, under lease payments, we have an increase for purchase of DocuSign, which we've needed, electronic signatures, an additional increase in Quest system upgrade for our case management system. At the bottom of that page, under maintenance and repairs, it looks like a 100% increase, but it's really money that's been moved from another line item. There aren't any changes on the next page. The transport decrease in 100%, that was the line item that was transferred onto the previous page. On the next page, there's an increase in gasoline because we've added a couple vehicles. And those are the only changes in our budget, Mr. Chairman.
Well, thank you very much. Any other questions? Seeing none, let's go ahead and move to a vote. All right, vote passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe the final matter is 53300, General Sessions Court. Dwight Jones to motion, Jennifer Mason to second. Any explanation?
Believe I'm the only judge on. I don't see Judge Taylor. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, committee members. As far as our budget is concerned, as far as salaries are concerned, there's probably a cost of living adjustment that's submitted and directed by the AOC. I don't have that percentage. I think Nina was going to include that in your budget. On the next page, there are no changes. And then on the next page, there is a change, and that's under contracted services. Contracted services includes the contract that we have with the medical waste company that helps to properly dispose of our drug test for probation. And it also includes compensation for special judges when they preside when we're not available, either due to a regularly scheduled conference or a conflict of interest. But this year it's been a little different, of course, because of COVID. And we've tried to maintain our criminal docket so that we would not have a backlog. So where Judge Taylor and I each would sit once a week on the criminal docket, both sitting on the criminal docket twice a week. And this has helped to prevent a huge backlog. As a result, sometimes there is a need for a special judge to assist us, particularly if one of us has to be out due to sickness, due to vacation, although I don't think we've taken much vacation this past year. But we found it necessary to increase that line item because of that, because we're going from 2 criminal dockets to basically 4 criminal dockets, and therefore the need for someone to take our place, because I'm not able to substitute for Judge Taylor if I have to be on the bench, and he can't substitute for me if he has to be on the bench. I think he got through today around 5:30, probably one of the reasons why he's not on camera right now. He's been on the bench since 9 o'clock this morning. I luckily got out in time, but that's why we're asking for that increase. In order to make up for that increase, on the line item of in-service staff development, we have depleted that $1,518 and moved it up to the other contracted services. So we've tried to use what we had available in order to make up that difference. So we would need an additional $3,500. Now, when we compensate a judge for sitting for us, they're paid $150 for half of a day and $300 for a full day. So that's not quite some of their hourly rates when they were attorneys. So we think that it is a reasonable compensation if needed.
Well, thank you,
And
Judge, for
that's
that
all the
explanation.
teachers.
Any other questions or comments regarding this line item? Seeing none, let's move to the vote. Vote passes 6-0. I believe that concludes the agenda unless anyone else has anything else they want to ask or talk about.
This is Commissioner Williams.
Um,
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely, go ahead.
Is Sheriff Rhodes still on the line?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
I just general question. I'm just curious from really a retention and recruiting perspective with our sheriff department. How many officers are in the sheriff's department?
Well, I've got four, I got 274. And working in the jail, I got 75.
So I'm sorry. So what's the total number? I'm just curious.
274 sworn through all on the field side and 75 in the jail.
How's our retention with our deputies? Are we losing deputies, or do we have a lot of vacancies open for a long time, or are we filling those pretty quickly?
Well, I tell you, I've been fortunate. This time last year, I was 12 people short in patrol, so that really hurt. I'm up to where I'm only 2 short in patrol. And I've got maybe 8 openings right now on field side, and about 8 openings in the jail. And of course, like I said, we started everybody in the jail. When y'all bumped up the salaries last year, it helped out quite a bit. I tell you, I lose people out of the jail a lot quicker than I do anywhere else because, working in the jail is the toughest job we have. And, but we're doing pretty good right now. I've got one of my sergeants in the jail. He's real proactive on the apps out there as far as getting applications in and stuff. So, we're doing pretty good. In my whole time here, 41 years, I don't think we've ever had a full house. So, but we're doing better than we were this time last year.
I'm glad to hear that. I know you won't know this. I'm just kind of asking anecdotally off the cuff, but how much is there a percentage you would put of deputies that live in the county versus live outside the county?
Oh gosh, I'd say I feel safe in saying between 80 and 90% of our guys live outside the county.
Wow, it's that high.
Yeah, it's that high.
I'm surprised to hear that. That's with all the growth that we're going under, the pressure being placed here, that's a concern. I like seeing our deputies. I like seeing our teachers and firemen, living in our community. And I was not expecting to hear that high a percentage.
Oh yeah. I've got Murfreesboro, Spring Hill, and Thompson State. Well, Murfreesboro and Spring Hill on the Murray County side of Spring Hill, Chapel Hill. I've even got some that live. I've got 2 that drive up from Waverly, and they work in the jail. And so yeah, they're spread all over. But
wow.
Very much, I'm saying I feel safe saying between 80 and 90% live outside the county.
I appreciate the answers. I was just really out of curiosity, so
Sure.
Appreciate that.
Sure, you're welcome.
All right, any other questions or new business?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to be sure, when we reviewed the general sessions budget, that it also included the budget for the judicial commissioners. Did y'all have that with the general sessions budget? Because I didn't see it anywhere else on the schedule.
I don't see it on the budget itself, and there wasn't any other attachment for breakdowns.
All right. Didn't know if that was something that you had to approve separately, being the law enforcement committee. And I certainly didn't want to leave it out.
I would think that it would have to be in it, but that might be a Nina question.
Okay.
We can ask her, and perhaps budget or somebody can look at it as well if they need before.
Thank you.
Meet again. All right. Seeing no other questions, we are officially adjourned. Thank you all for being here.